Defeated captives being led into captivity, or worse. Military engineering. Sun Tzu, the great Chinese war tactician, said, "The worst policy is to attack cities. Attack them only when there is no alternative." He knew that attacking, or even laying siege to a city, was expensive and time-consuming, so he did not favor it. But siege warfare was the method Joshua frequently used in the story of the infiltration of Canaan, since he lacked the numbers to face an enemy in an open battle. Siege warfare was practiced by Abimelech at Shechem, and Jephthah also used it in Ammon. It was expensive and time-consuming, but effective. The great empires of the ancient Near East perfected this type of warfare. The Assyrians developed specialized storm troops who were able to take advantage of any breaches in the wall. Trained sappers built zigzag trenches, allowing their own soldiers to get closer to the walls of the besieged city, without being hit by missiles coming from the city. Their engineers developed new siege weapons such as covered battering rams and mining tools. The attackers would seal off the city under attack by encircling it with their army. The soldiers would settle down to work, but it was a busy time for the engineers, who would begin building siege works. An earthen wall might be built to encircle the city. It would have guard towers at regular intervals, to keep watch for breakouts. Siege ramps made of earth and wood would be built, see above right, as soon as the battering rams were ready for use. Unless relief came from outside, the inhabitants of the city were trapped. All they could look forward to was starvation, surrender, slavery or death, and probably a horrible death at that. Jeremiah describes some of the terrible things that happened during a siege. "I will make them eat the flesh of their sons and their daughters, and everyone shall eat the flesh of his neighbor in the siege." 19-9. And Isaiah comments that their corpses were as refuse in the midst of the streets. 5:25. Summary. Unfortunately for Israel, it lay at a strategic crossroad, straddling major trade routes and wedged between two great empires, Samaria, Assyria and Egypt. So it often became a battlefield when foreign troops passed through on their way to somewhere else. War was part of life in ancient Israel, though the way it was waged changed drastically in the time between 1300 to 586 BC. At first, the soldiers were voluntary militia, then later became an organized and disciplined army. Finally, some 30 or 40 years after the death of Christ, they were a desperate, defensive force against the Roman invaders. For everything, there is a season. A time for war, and a time for peace. Ecclesiastes 3:1-8. Hosea chapter 2 verse 16. "And in that day, declares the Lord, you will call me my husband, and no longer will you call me my Baal." The hidden secret. Beloved brothers, Bana Beto, or Bantu, he should know that the language of a people attracts its history, and its derivatives here are derived from my people, the alumni of true Israel, the Bantu. Be careful, here s the wisdom, Ngoma, the Congos, e.g. the verb marry is quoela, Congo say quote or quoela, unite, gather in Hebrew, H6953, however in Nalas or Bangala tribe Ephraimite is married Bala, betray, and explaining the cult that swore to Baal, H1167, Nalas, Bala, H1166, in Hebrew means to marry, unite. Women call their men Ba Nalas of Mb, Bali. The prefix mo, mu, soft in the Hebrew Bible and the Bantu language, indicates the origin, e.g. mo Ngala, mo Congo, or Moab, mean, which comes from the father, the seed of Lot. Note Nalas. The language is Lingala. Since the time Yissa, Yah, this language was called Ngalila in your Bible. Peter was a Ba Ngala. Mark 14-71. In shortly after, those who were present, the Bakongos, still said to Peter, surely you are of those people because you are also Galileo. Read Matthew chapter 26 verse 73. Shortly after, there were those who approached Peter and said, Yea, thou art of those, your way of speaking gives you the knowledge. So, of course, that the tribes of North Nalas and South Congos, distinguished by its language. Pedro was betrayed by his language, Lingala. He certainly did not speak the language Kikongo Southerners, according to Matthew chapter 26 verse 73. Remember that they were in the Bakongo region of the Judea, Yaoundé in Congo language Aramaic, 3061 Yehudi, mapped to the left. The names have been westernized, thus the language of Nalas was Galileo in your Bible Ngalila read 2 Acts 7. Today Congos and Ba Nalas are recognized by the language, some Kikongo, other Lingala in both languages are found among other Bantu languages. So Mo Baali was given in honor of Baal. The Nalas called her man Mo Baali, Phoenician and Canaanite deity Baal, Nilotic, today Somali, Oromo, Fallacious, Tutsi, Maasai. Baal was particularly beloved by rich neighbors of the Nalas, the Sidanines, people of the sea, near the northern kingdom of Nalas, tribes Ephraim Hiphoranii. Baal influenced other neighboring countries of Israel, as the Ammonites. Note the name Baalis, Ammonite king, today Berber, Jeremiah 40-14, and said, "You know Baalis, king of the Ammonites, instructed Ishmael, son of Nethaniah." We can clearly see the Baal was also named Baalis. Su 1180 Ba Ali. The Nalas call their women Mo Asi, which comes from the Isis in Hebrew as Asir, Asi, 617 Asir, Queen of Heaven, the name given by Nalas his wife in honor of Isis, read 1 Chronique 317, son of Jeconiah, Asir, whose son was Shealtiel. Jeconiah, true to Egyptian kings, gave his son the name Asir. Also in ancient Hebrew, the final consonant is swallowed. Our answer to Asi, El, becomes Hey. Other Congos gave his son the name El Asi or Assiel, meaning Asi as a goddess. El is pronounced Hey, as you can see in 1 Chronique 435. Joel, Jehu, son of Joshjibiah, son of Saraja, son of Aziel, Asi, El, names that our parents gave to their children in honor of Asi. The Nalas already deified Asi or Asir. 1 Chronique 435. The applicant, El, God here in case goddess. Asi is an abomination to say it today. Nalas woman say Mo Asi, mean come on. Asi H 617. This word Asir or Asi H 617 Asir already existed among the Bantu. After his stay in Egypt, the Jews of Congo, nostalgic for Africa, Egypt, Kor rebel gave these children the names of Yoruba deities and other Egyptian Asir in honor of Asi, Isis or Abi, Asaph. My father is Akatsuki in the Egyptian language. Osiris was Akatsuki. Read Exodus chapter 6 verse 24, son of Korah. Asir, Elkanah, and Abiasaph, these are the families of Korites. The Nalas, the northern kingdom, was a cult of Yissa. Hey, these foreign deities, even today Nalas still call their wives Moassi of Asi Asir, his men Mb, Baalis of Baal. For a better understanding read Abomination of the People, the worship of Asi, voodoo deity of the ancient Egyptians, West Africa, Igbo, Wolof, Saniki and Yoruba. Jeremiah 44-15-19. All men who knew that their wives were offering incense to other gods, all the women that were there in large numbers and all the people that remained in the land of Egypt. Pathros thus answered Jeremiah, 16 Nots we will not obey him. You said in the name of Hey Yahab, 17 But we will certainly do whatsoever thing goeth forth out of our own mouth, to burn incense to the Queen of Heaven, Asi, known as Isis, and give offerings, as we have done, we and our fathers, our kings, and our leaders, in the cities of Judah and the streets of Jerusalem, the streets of Jerusalem. So we had plenty of victuals, and were well, and saw no evil. 18 Since we stopped offering incense to the Queen of Heaven and offer, we lack everything and have been consumed by the sword and by famine. 19 Us women, when we burned incense to the Queen of Heaven, Asi, and we offered him libations, did you happen to cakes to worship and offer libations without our husbands? Analysis as you read in Jeremiah 44-15-19. Bakongo as Ba Nalas, the voodoo worship, the worship of Asi, Mami Wata Isis, Asi, deity of the ancient Egyptians, who are today, Wolof, Saniki, Hausa, Igbo, Benin, Togo, Yoruba. The Ba Nalas were real spiritual prostitutes among the children of Yaquaba. They were the constant target of the prophets that reminded them of their obligation to return to the Almighty Hey Yahab, the power of their parents. Read 1 Kings chapter 18 verses 18-19. Eli, Yah replied, I have not troubled Israel, but you and your father's family have. Tribes Ephraim, Hiphoranii. 10. Elijah replied, you have abandoned the commandments of Hey Yah-ab and followed the Baals. 19 Agora gather to me all Israel to the mountain of Carmel, town of northern tribes Ngalas, and also 450 prophets of Baal, Baalah, and the 400 prophets of Astarte, Ossi or Osir, that eat at table Jezebel, whose name was translated as Yissa. Baal comes from Baalah, Baal, Balis, French Isabel, Isa, come, plus Bel, Baal, 1 Nilotic Sidonin, Somalia today. Until the arrival of Yissayah, Jesus, with his tongue, Lingala, Nalas as Samba Bacongos will keep the names of Baal or Balis, Mo, Balis, or Mb, Ossi, or Bala, married, child among the Bakongo Balaris, Bala in their mouths. Why? For the prophecy said, Hey Yah, Abe will give your scattered people, today located in central South Africa, give them a pure tongue and lips. Why? Because their language is now impure. Zephaniah chapter 3 verse 9. So only Yissayah will remove these names Baala, Mo, Balis, Mo, Ossi, from the mouth of his people, who say the Ba-Nalas married Baala and Mo, Baalis, H1180 Ba, Alloy, saying my husband, master, MB, Ossi, that I mean, my wife, all those names associated with God's Baal, and the goddess, Ossi makes your language impure, hence the need to purify their language as announced, Zephaniah chapter 3, 9-11, then I will give the pure lips people, so that all call upon the name of Hey Yah for the use of a common agreement. Hold the verb that serves, is the service or the service is worship. Worship remember of Romanos 9-4 cult belongs to Bantu, Bana Yissa Hey, sons of Israel. Also Isaiah chapter 44 verse 1 recalls the servants Hey Yah, Abe Isaiah chapter 44 verse 1 Hear now, O Yaquba, 12 kingdoms Bantu, my servant, the Yissa, Elah, Israel, I chose. Everything is clear. The servants are 12 kingdoms Bantu. So when Zephaniah chapter 3 verses 9-10 talk to people who live in Central to South Africa, saying only that serve to Hey Yah by mutual agreement as that you are bone of his children Yaquba. Hey Yah called my servant, serve. Zephaniah chapter 3 verse 10 identifies the holy people and their place of refuge beyond the river of Cush, Central Africa. In South Africa, Bana Beto of Ba Zulu, sons of the house of heaven, my scattered, my worshippers, worship, service, yes, stray from the creator of heaven and earth, are Bantu, the worshippers of the Holy of Holies are Bantu. And Isaiah chapter 18 verses 1-7 clearly speaks of his people. The same Isaiah, Yissa, Yah, it calls the Bantu from real people on the mighty Hey Yah, Abe. Here are the secret codes he uses. People formidable, powerful nation cut by rivers but abandoned for raptors. Isaiah chapter 18 verses 6-7, which will be used and will bring the offerings into the Holy of Holy Hey, El, Yah, Abe. Here's the secret, I will show you care. Isaiah chapter 18 verses 1-7 speaks of the great people who live in Central, South, verse 6, Africa, and they were abandoned for raptors nowhere as wisdom. Be careful, Jeremiah will tell us. Take attention to the underlined words read Jeremiah 12-7-9. I left my house, I neglected my legacy. Joel chapter 3 verse 2 to own Hey Yah, the legacy of Abe are Bantu, Yissa, Hey, Israel, in your Bible, handed the object of my love into the hands of their enemies. 8 My inheritance was unto me as a lion in the forest, he pushed her against me roar, by this I hated her. 9 To me, my heritage was a bird of prey, a hyena, also raptors will come from all sides against him. Go, assemble all the beasts of the field, and behind to devour. Exactly what A said. Isaiah chapter 18 verses 6-7, talking about people who live beyond the rivers of Cush, i.e. Central Africa to the south, the Bantu, so says my inheritance. The response read Joel chapter 3 verse 2. My heritage Israel. Now make a comparison. Exactly what said Isaiah chapter 18 verses 6-7, talking about people who live beyond the rivers of Cush, i.e. the Central to South Africa area and Bantu region, so says my inheritance. The response read Joel chapter 3 verse 2. My heritage Israel. Now make a comparison.